Hello boys and girls, what's up? It's Trigger here, of course, and today I'm going to be showing off one of my Space Engineers builds. This is an interesting thing for me to do. So this is my very first submission as well, so people can download this online as well if you are interested, and I'm going to go and talk about it. So this ship is called the Shield Bearer. Now, as the name might intend, this is sort of more of a defensive fight craft, which is strange because I'm submitting this to the Dogfighting League as well. For LastStandGamers as well, because I'm really interested in participating in that. And so now, what this ship is it's essentially a strike craft that is designed to soak up damage in fleet battles for other more important ships, such as transports, carriers, motherships, etc., stuff like that. You would want to use this kind of ship to absorb damage. And how this works is basically there's two shields that I call guards on the left and right side. This is the left guard. Now what this guard does is it's going to soak up damage because it has a decoy block selected directly behind it, right there, that enemy automatic turrets are going to fire for. This doesn't include strikecraft, of course. This is why this is a little stranger of a submission. So what this is going to do is you're going to have strikecraft, or you're going to have escorts and liners, and they're going to be plowing this front door here because their guns are set to automatically fire there. Of course, if the guns are manned, it's not going to work because the decoy block doesn't work like that. But what's going to happen is it's going to shred and try to get through this armor, and that's two armor thick right there. So it'll take a lot of time for it to actually get through there, and especially if you're moving around, this is going to soak up a lot of damage. And so basically what this does is this protects your vital core here. This is the core of the ship. This is the actual ship right here, this line. You don't actually need the shields there. And these shields, the ship itself is actually about 600 plus blocks without the shields, and with the shields is about 900 blocks. So you're going to gain a lot of speed when you shed these off as well. Now the only reason to shed these off is because they're getting very destroyed. You feel like you're about to hit something, you're in a tight maneuver, there's shrapnel flying everywhere, and you need to do a quick maneuver to get through one of these asteroids here, maybe fly through a platform, and you know you have to drop your left guard if you want to make it through. So what you do is you drop it right before you go through. It'll smash into whatever you thought you were going to hit, and then you'll fly away unscathed. Generally, you would want to discard. You want to discard this when you're going back to your mothership as well. This way you can land on the mothership, and then you can load up with another one because these are using merge blocks, so you can use these interchangeably. So once this is off, you can have it fly into a hangar, and you can have it get loaded up with another set. And then it's ready to go right back into the battlefield, protected and ready. Now the only case in where this isn't going to be possible is if your two merge blocks are destroyed. You'll have to have a projector or something in order to repair them, and then you could go back in the battle, which is pretty easy to do now, so you could do that still pretty quickly. So the ship is, like I said, designed to soak up damage. Now, the Mark 1 version is meant more towards a basic flight person, so if you don't have a lot of training with flying, and flying is difficult in this game, then then by all means use the Mark 1. Now, the intended use is the Mark 2 version. What the Mark 2 version does is it gives you a rotating turret head in the top. Now, the rotating turret head is going to allow you to turn left and right to use the guards to your advantage. If you're using the Mark 1 version, sure, you can soak up damage for your other allies and your other ships, but you're not going to be able to defend yourself. You're just going to take the damage, and that's it. Now, what this does is this is going to allow you in the Mark 2 version to take the damage from, let's say, a ship facing this direction. It's shooting right there at that, and your turrets, you're going to be able to rotate that turret to the left and actually fire back. Now, the reason why this works out pretty well is because unless it's the strike craft can shoot the gun, making it pretty exposed, making it a pretty easy target to hit. But even then, it's still a smaller piece of the ship. So if you're focusing that part of the ship, that's still pretty good, considering your cockpit won't be taking damage, which is the most important part, because that's where you're going to be at. So, like I said, you can turn this left and right, and you're going to be able to focus on other people who are firing at you. Now, the only reason why this is Mark II is because this is very, very difficult to use. While you're flying, you have to be able to rotate it and stop it at the same time. You have to be able to line up. You have to be able to find the red dots. You can't move up and down. You have to use Q and E to roll in order to move up and down if you're facing completely left and right, which is why it becomes more of a skillful piloting plane or aircraft. It becomes very difficult, so you're going to need to have a lot of practice. I would heavily suggest using the Mark 1 just for personal use, but if you're going to be you're serious about defending, being instead of just a strike craft, you want to have more of a vital role. Well, you can use a strike craft. You can be a strike craft at the same time while being able to defend your other ships and actually provide a pretty big purpose. These ships, it can also be pretty trolly as well because you could just fly away with the decoy blocks as well, so it offers a lot of potential. On top of that, it is still very fast like a strike craft as well. You can see right here, these are the two doors that just come right off. They've been shutted off, the guards on the left and the right, and then here is the Mark 1 without the doors. You'll see that there is a thin little layer right here of protection. Now what this is going to be your emergency shield, because the center area here is very important. You've got your reactor positioned directly below the turret and behind the pilot seats here, so you got a little extra protection there. It's very protected. The core is very protected. Its only weak spot would be from taking fire in this direction. Even then, it's still going to be pretty safe. So on top of that, you'll have to get through the main door shield, the main guard. Then you have to get through the small guard, the inner guard. The inner guard is meant to really protect everything in the center because that's important. If it takes damage, you don't have to worry about repairing it in the middle of a battle. Or say if you're landing at an aircraft, you can just simply land, attach your new defensive blocks, fly out. The only parts that are important are the merge blocks, which you could repair pretty easily. If anything in the inside gets damaged, well, let's say your reactor goes out, there's an extra emergency battery in the back, right here in the more exposed area. If it survives and it's still there, you'll still be able to pilot your ship for a very limited amount of time. More ideally, just to fly away from the battle, or to fly to your mothership if it's close. So, like I said, this ship is very fast, very nimble. This is how fast it goes without the shield blocks on the left and right. It's still very fast. Even with the blocks on it, surprisingly enough, that's 300 extra blocks, and it's still quite fast. So, more than enough gyroscopes and stuff. Gyroscopes are situated in the back. This is survival compatible. You might notice I'm using Gatling guns in the dogfighting league submission. I can use some other guns like the scatter cannon. I'm going to play around with them first. I really don't know. Just look at the guns as more of a temporary thing at the moment. But yeah, that's my submission. I might be putting rocket launchers and stuff on it. It is survival compatible. Like I said, everything is meeting the requirements. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. As usual, please rate and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.